Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? This is your man Thatch the Great checking in once again. Let's get straight to it, man. Got a great topic for y'all tonight. In case you have not heard, especially if you're living in the state of Florida, because this directly impacts you. In case you guys have not heard, going live tomorrow, September 25th, in the beautiful state of Florida, it will now officially become an open carry state. In case you guys don't know what that means, in case you somehow have been excommunicated from society and you have no clue what that means in this country, open carry means that you can openly have a firearm holstered on your person, on your body, whether it be on your side or whether it be strapped around your damn back. You know what I'm saying? You can have your weapon on you. You can have your heater, your blicky, whatever you call it these days. You can have that shit on you, visible, and nobody can bother you. The police can't bother you. They can't harass you. They simply just had to deal with it. That's right. Now, you may be thinking, damn, that's crazy. Or at least us here in Florida, because we're so late to the damn party. It sounds like a big deal initially because we're so used to not only it not being an open carry state here, but we're used to not only that, we're used to having to go get all these special permits and conceal carry. But now with this ruling, we don't have to do that shit at all anymore. So that means if I so choose to, and I never would do this because I just don't see the point, but if I so choose to, tomorrow, I can literally go strap on my goddamn AR-15, have that shit on my back, and I could just walk down the street with no problems. Nobody can fuck with me. No police can harass me. Nobody can say shit because it will be absolutely legal to do so as of tomorrow in the state of Florida. But just in case you guys have not heard that, let me go to a quick video where this sheriff is going to break it all down for you. It's just a few minutes. Let's take a quick look and then let's come back to it. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right, here we go.
I have spoken with the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, the Chief of Staff for the Governor, and explained, look, we need to address through the legislative process, tightening up the rules. It will be them doing open carry law, but we need to cover the corners. So in the meantime, we're left with a law that can be misinterpreted easily. So what I'm telling folks, to be safe, understand this. Go back to your concealed carry rules.
Why would they do that?
Go back.
Listen to this guy. See, this is what you cannot do, especially if you live in Florida, right? Don't listen to this fuck shit he's talking about. Why would we go back to concealed carry rules if we can open carry? He's asking you to infringe upon your own rights. Keep that in mind.
To your open carry rules about places you cannot carry a firearm.
This is common sense.
Yes, effective September 25th, you can carry an open firearm.
Mm-hmm.
But there are places that you still are restricted. And even the appellate court opinion says, yes, there are going to be restricted areas, such as courthouses.
Common sense.
Such as when governments are meeting. So I'm telling folks, as a blanket, just stay away from schools.
Common sense.
That's clearly illegal with a firearm. Stay away out of government buildings, federal, state, and local.
These are all common sense scenarios that he's listing here. Like he's trying to deter you from actually engaging in open carry by saying there's still going to be restrictions. But we as human beings, especially those of us that are adults, we should all know this. Even with open carry rules, you still have to enact a certain amount of common sense in the way that you conduct yourself. Don't carry guns. Don't have a fucking AR-15 strapped on your back when you go to pick your kids up from soccer practice at school. Come on, let's use common sense, guys. Of course.
Just to be safe, don't try to go into the courthouse. That's clearly illegal, and there are court orders and laws. And give the legislature time to kind of square up the corners once again. But open carry will be the law effective September 25th. But there still are some restrictions. Open carry doesn't mean open carry every place in the state of Florida.
Most places
There's still
don't.
restricted areas. I have been a strong proponent of carrying a concealed firearm because those that care enough to carry concealed firearms after they learn how to appropriately handle them, they are a safety valve in society. They're a help to us. But carrying a concealed firearm gives those carrying the firearm the element of surprise.
I'm glad he said that, because this is going to be one of those things that I vehemently disagree with him about there. When it comes to concealed firearms, guys, anybody who has more than one or two weapons, anybody like myself who has several guns, I think you guys would agree. Let me know if you disagree, though. When it comes to carrying firearms, right? Don't you feel that it makes us a little bit safer as a society when we can all openly carry our firearms? Because I don't know about y'all, but I think that when two people are engaging in confrontation, they act a little bit differently when they can see the fucking blicky on you. When I can look at a nigga and see that, oh shit, all right, this nigga strapped up. He sees what I got. I see what he got. To quote the eternal Denzel Washington in one of his worst roles in his career, his most recent movie, Highest to Lowest, to quote Denzel Washington, if y'all haven't seen that movie, if you want to laugh, there's a scene where he's rapping back and forth with A$AP Rocky, and Denzel Washington says, your elbows are showing, so is your 9. You got your blicky, and I got mine. What you want to do, young G? Believe it or not, he actually said that. Trash-ass movie. But that makes a good point, though. I think that would make society safer, because if I can see that a man has his on him, I got mine on me, it makes people act differently. You act a little bit differently when there's an actual element of danger that you are fully aware of. You don't talk quite the same, because we both know that we're in imminent danger. Both of our lives can end. We both know that. I think open carry is a great thing in totality, but I do think that we obviously need to enact a certain amount of discipline still. But I do think it ultimately can be a great thing. But here's the thing about the state of Florida. We're just late to the party. Other states, if I recall correctly, 45 other states are already open carry. It's just that Florida is so damn late to this particular party. So this is nothing new, but this is a big deal to us here. Now, there's always going to be morons, guys. We know that. There's always going to be morons who ruin it for everybody. There's always going to be morons who push the envelope and are going to obviously make it where we're going to regret this to an extent, at least at first, because people are going to go crazy. They're going to push limits as far as what they're doing. You're going to see a bunch of morons walking around with rifles on their back. I guarantee you, just like you see in Arizona all the time, it's going to be a bunch of people just doing crazy shit. Niggas walking around strapped up, 2 holsters on them, all kinds of rifles, assault rifles, just strapped up. People are just going to do dumb shit at first just because they can. And that's usually what happens. But I think once the newness of it dies down, I think we will come to a baseline of it simply being normal and being accepted and everybody operating as usual. That's what I believe is going to happen. We shall see, but I think it ultimately can be a good thing, because if we all know that we're all strapped, people will act differently towards each other. That's a fact.
The people that are going to carry firearms illegally for nefarious purposes are already doing that. So what we're doing is we're telling the good folks, carry your firearm and carry it concealed. And that's legal in Florida, with the exceptions I just talked about. The law now says you can carry it openly. That's the law. I'm not a fan of that. I'm a big Second Amendment guy. But why am I not a fan of open carry? Because you lose the tactical advantage should you need the firearm.
It's not about having a tactical advantage. I think that's what this guy continues to miss in this entire premise. It's not about having a tactical advantage. It's actually about making sure that everybody is aware that we are now all on an even playing field. I don't need to have a concealed carry license anymore. I can just have my strap on me, openly visible, and you already know what time it is. So watch your fucking mouth. Use some common sense in how you deal with me, because shit can go down. I think that's important. I think that's very important, and I think it's going to give some people some get right as far as how they talk. Not going to be so reckless. It's going to be kind of like how it is in Texas. Everybody got it on them. And honestly, if I'm keeping it a stack, in Florida right now, all of us have it on us. We do. and not all of us had the concealed carry. So I'm glad that that shit's out the window. Now let's just all see who has what, or just assume that it's on me. How about that? Just assume that I got the strap on me. Just assume, because just to quote Jay-Z, I hope you got yours because I keep mine. That's how everybody should operate, especially moving forward now that it's open carry. That's just my 2 cents.
Some people think, well, if I'm carrying a firearm, I'll announce my presence and my intentions. You don't scare away real bad guys by carrying a firearm in a holster. You don't scare real bad guys by slinging an AR-15 over your shoulder. A real bad guy will take it from you and stick it up your butt.
Whoa.
And then
what type of time is this guy on?
Discharge it. So I'm suggesting to you that if you think wearing an exposed firearm is going to scare bad guys, no, it's not. It's just going to point out you as a target. I am suggesting to you, if you expose a firearm, you're making yourself a target. And you're telling the bad guy, I can rip this firearm off of this old man or this old lady and then use it against him.
I like to see them try. Whatever old man he's talking about in that scenario, I guarantee that firearm being openly, readily available on them gives them a much better chance of being able to defend themselves against said bad guy. So I completely vehemently disagree with what that guy's saying here, but he's putting me to sleep. I'm about to go to a different video. This old dude is putting me to sleep. 1 second. What's this one say? Let's check this.
So think of it as like a TV ad with a catalog.
Hold on 1 second, y'all. 1 second. Let's take a quick look at this.
It comes from Roku.
I'm Jada Williams, and in just a few days, Florida will become an open carry state. I'm taking a look at how that could impact you and the rest of our state.
It's the first sign of coming change.
Because open carry is now the law of the state of Florida, we did not have a good faith basis to pursue those charges. And so as we sit here now, those charges have been dismissed.
Open carry officially becomes law in Florida on September 25th, yet there's still rules surrounding who and where it doesn't apply. Minors, convicted felons, and people with active domestic violence injunctions cannot have guns. Meantime, you can't open carry inside private businesses, government offices, school campuses, and bars, to name a few. And if you try to,
That person will be asked to leave. If they don't leave, they are, of course, trespassing. But because they have a firearm, they've now gone from a misdemeanor trespass to an armed trespass, and that's a felony.
as we move into this new stage of gun laws in the state, Brian Anderson Needham, the founder of Weapon Brand and part of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association, tells me people have a lot of questions.
Every day, I mean, since it started to unfold and now that it's getting closer to the 25th of September, we're getting more and more questions about it, mainly having to do with, what our beliefs are in it and then training.
Anderson Needham says his biggest focus is on safety.
The thing with carrying on openly, you're no longer now stealth mode. You're no longer concealed. You could now also be a target. So
why do we need to be concealed? Once again, I ask. I see them harping on that one point. You no longer have that tactical advantage, because if you open carry, they know you got it on you. But that's not a disadvantage to me. In actuality, I feel like that actually gives me an advantage because you know that you got to watch the way you talk, the way you carry yourself if you're fucking with me. That only makes sense to me. That seems like common sense. And I think the only people that are really jilted or hurt by this is the people who are constantly leaning on that concealed carry weapon license that so many people act like they were so special for having. But now that's out the window. It's not necessary. And I think that this actually puts everybody on even footing because now we can all openly see. I mean, if you still want to tuck it, you can still tuck it if you want. But what's the point? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of these obnoxious people that's going to be walking around with my gun just visible. That's just not my style. But if I wanted to, and that's the whole point here, if I wanted to wake up tomorrow and just walk down the street with the AR on my back, I could do that. But I don't see the point. That's going to be the biggest obstacle that we have now that the fact that this is going to be legal. You're going to have a bunch of morons in my city, in this state as a whole, just walking around with rifles on their back and just walking around with multiple holsters just because they can. And that's not what this is intended to be used for. That's going to be the problem.
I believe in the right to be able to do it. However, I also believe that there's going to be a lot more training, especially situational awareness wise, that you're going to have to obtain to be able to do that and do it effectively.
But other questions he's fielding could be as simple as the difference between open and concealed.
I mean, open carry, it's just out. It's just, I have a holster on the outside and my gun is actually out. It's open in the open,
What's wrong with
open
that?
carry. What conceals it is anything covering it. So even if my shirt is covering that gun or even partially covering that gun, it's technically considered concealed.
He says he anticipates confusion, even anxiety, as we get used to this new law.
You're going to have some people that come out of the woodwork that just try it. And for those people, I would suggest sit back, let this unfold, let people start to get used to it. Because if people haven't watched the news, if they don't know that this statute is coming out, people are going to see somebody with a gun without a badge. And obviously that could technically...
He's right about that. And I foresee there being a bunch of issues. Like, as this initially rolls out, I think we're going to have a bunch of problems with Karens, calling the police on people who are well within their rights to openly carry weapons now. I think it's just going to be a big problem. And I think that I hope it doesn't lead to unnecessary confrontations or even more so, I hope it doesn't lead to any unnecessary bloodshed. But we're talking about a radical change, a paradigm shift in the way that people are going to be able to carry their firearms here in the state of Florida. I think this is going to be a watershed moment. It's going to be interesting. I just hope that people carry themselves with a certain degree of common sense. But I know that's asking too much. I know.
And essentially, it could incite some panic.
For Tampa Bay 28, I'm Jada Williams.
What do y'all think? What do y'all think, though? This is going to be crazy.
Imagine being able to.
Crazy, man. It's going to be a crazy time in Florida. Like
we had hundreds of people join.
There's 45 other states, to my knowledge, that already currently have open carry, but we don't have it in Florida yet. So this is gonna starting tomorrow. This is gonna be the wild, wild west here, guys.
It will be allowed in Florida this week.
The state attorney general's latest comments are raising new questions from the public and law enforcement. Local 10's Janine Stanwood is in West Palm Beach with what state leaders have to say. The ban on open carry has been struck down, as you know, and now we're hearing from Florida's attorney general as local sheriff's departments are weighing in.
People have a right to open carry under the United States Constitution in this state now.
We're hearing from the state attorney general on open carry after a court struck down Florida's ban earlier this month. But different police and sheriff's departments around the state have had slightly different interpretations on when it's to be in effect.
What do y'all think, man? Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? I like I said, I can see both sides of the coin. I think it can be an extremely dangerous thing, just given the fact that there's going to be an extremely large number of people that are just like the guy said in the previous video. They're just going to try it. They're just going to do it just because they can. They're going to walk around with AR-15s. They're going to walk around with these assault rifles on their backs just because they can. They're going to walk around with multiple holsters strapped up to the fucking teeth with guns now, just because they can. So that makes it dangerous anytime you're bringing more weapons into the fray. However, does that not also make it extremely safe, given the fact that we can all do it now? So you got yours on you, I got mine. We both see what time it is. So it doesn't make it any less safe. I just think it puts us in a situation where we all have to operate with a certain level of discipline as far as the way that we carry and conduct ourselves. I think that's what makes it. I think it's going to be a very delicate tightrope that has to be walked. Well, what do y'all think?
And specific exemptions in state statute, which some believe would be overridden by the constitutional right to bear arms.
Well, some people support this and some people don't.
In Monroe County, open carry is considered to be in effect now. The sheriff says his deputies will need more training. In Miami-Dade, the department tells us they're reviewing the policy and will make their guidance public soon. And in Broward, the sheriff's office is referring the public to the attorney general's office, stressing gun safety.
Because you had a ruling come down from a court as opposed to a new law passed by the legislature that is striking down as unconstitutional a significant portion of Florida law that prohibits open carry. It's not the cleanest situation, and there's likely cleanup that's going to be needed by the legislature.
In other words, state lawmakers may need to enshrine some specifics in a new law.
But I caution people that doesn't give you the ability to take firearms into schools. There's federal and state law on that.
Law enforcement tells us this guy was recently spotted in public in Lake County with a long gun. Unless he's carrying it in a threatening manner, under open carry, he's generally within his rights.
I know everybody.
Crazy. That dude didn't even have it strapped on his back. He just had the shit in his hands. Once again, these are the morons I'm talking about. If you're just walking around with a long rifle in your hand, that is going to put me on alert. Me personally. That's going to make me feel like I got to reach for my waist because now you got your hands on yours already. Now, if you got it on your back, cool. But once you already have a rifle in your hand, how the fuck are people supposed to respond to that? Just think about that. Just from a human common sense standpoint. This is about to get crazy.
Is taking a look and researching and better understanding, the current legal environment right now.
One state lawmaker tells me, at least right now, there's no plan to take up open carry in the next session, but we'll stay tuned. We're in West Palm Beach. I'm Janine Stanwood, Local 10 News.
Imagine making passive.
Yep, that's pretty much it, man. That's all I wanted to say, man. It's going to be a very interesting time in the state of Florida as we continue to adapt to being an open carry state starting tomorrow, September 25th. Like I said, I have several firearms, but I just don't see any point in just getting strapped up just for the fuck of it. Do I usually have it on me in some capacity? Absolutely. But I don't see the point in me just deciding that I want to wake up one day and let me go put the AR on my back and just walk around the corner and police my block. Well, I don't really see myself as far as being somebody that wants to do that, but to each their own. If you're the type of person that wants to go do that, fine. If you live in Florida, starting tomorrow, you will be able to do just that. If you want to wake up, you want to be a fucking Wild West cowboy, and you're going to have 2 holsters on, you want to be strapped up to the fucking nines, do your thing. My only request, my only ask of you is to do it with a certain level of discernment and a certain level of discipline and respect for not only yourself, but for everyone around you. I just know that we're going to be moving into a very dangerous zone here in Florida where you got a lot of people who just want to push the envelope. As I said, they just want to do things just because they can. And they know that at this point, seeing as the courts have stricken it down, the cops can't do anything to you. They just, as long as you're working within the constraints of the parameters of what you can do, they can do nothing to you. If you want to, you can have a fucking AR-15 in your hand walking down the goddamn sidewalk and nobody can touch you. Nobody can cite you for any violations. You are well within your rights in Florida now. And like I said, to my knowledge, in 45 other states, it's already that way. It's just that we have never had that kind of radical freedom here in this state that I live in. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Confidence Reloaded. What's going on? Oh, are you a firearm instructor? Let's see. Let me see. You say no thanks. I'll continue to be incognito and conceal and carry. Plus, no one suspects that I'm carrying, especially. Oh, you're a woman. Ah, okay. Let me ask you this, Shonda. How many firearms do you have? How many firearms do you have? Just curious. I have 3, so I guess that makes me I guess that just makes me a novice, huh? Because you strike me as somebody that got about a good, I'm gonna say 6 to 8. But I got everything I need. I got a Glock 19, I got an AR, and I got a shotgun. That's all I need. That gets the job done for me. I don't know. How you said enough. I know you're not gonna be coy about it. How many firearms do you have? Don't act shy now. How many firearms do you have? You're an instructor, right? How many do you have? Or are you gonna play that game? Okay. I thought we was talking. I thought we were gonna have some dialogue, but I guess you want to be shy. You want to be shy about it. Well, let me ask you this: how long have you been an instructor? Could you at least enlighten me with that before I let you go? Since you're an instructor, at least 10. God damn. Now let me ask you this: why do you need 10? I'm sorry, that's the minimum. Why do you need that many? I'm just curious because, like I said, I have 3 firearms, right? I got Gloria, I got Aretha, that's the Glock, and that's the AR, and then I got I got Shotty, you know what I mean? Shotty too hotty. You feel me? I got 3. They do the job for me. That's more than enough. Why do you need so many? I don't get it. Let's see. Tony says, I'm from Florida, probably the only state in which this law would make the state less safe. Well, I disagree, Tony. Like I said, I know you probably missed it. You just coming in, but I disagree. Like, I think there's 2 ways that you can look at this, right? You can look at it from 2 different sides of the token. It can be extremely dangerous. It can make things a lot more hectic because you're going to have a bunch of morons. You got to understand. Anytime you deal with something like this, where all of a sudden people are able to increase in volume, how many people can just openly walk around with it on them, just visible, just strapped up to the teeth? It's going to be extremely dangerous because you're going to have morons that just want to push the envelope, that just want to see how far they can take it. And as long as they're within the guidelines, within the constraints, they can take it pretty far, as long as they're not, like they said earlier, not going into schools, not trying to go into government buildings, not trying to go into bars. As long as it comes to like walking down the street, yeah, you can take it pretty damn far, and you can just have long rifles on you. So, and then let's enter the idea or the topic of alcohol being mixed with that. So let's say somebody had a few too many. They decide they want to strap up and just go on a nice stroll, and then I just see too many scenarios where this can go extremely bad in a hurry. And that's the part that I'm fearing, because I know that there's so many idiots in this state. And I know that this, at least the initial rollout, can be problematic. But like I said, there's so many other states already who are open carry. It's just that in Florida, in case you don't know, Florida is like the Twilight Zone. There's nothing logically makes sense in Florida. There's so much crazy shit that goes on here. So it's going to be very interesting, to say the least. To say the very least. That's what I say, man. But yeah, you're right though. This is I wouldn't say that this is one of the only states, because I think that somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm guessing it is. Texas is absolutely open carry, correct? I know Arizona is, but Texas is as well, right? I want to say they're open carry. They've been open carry, right? Hey man, let's see. Hold on. I think Shonda finally got back to me. She just woke up. Let's see. I don't need that many, but I started collecting more for different caliber options and different platforms. An example, let's see. I have a 22. Oh, that's cute. A 22 rifle, because they are great for beginners. Yeah, that's true. That's true. How often do you go to the range, Shonda? How often do you find yourself out at the range? And what state do you live in, by the way? Are you here in Florida? Or are you in? You probably somewhere remote. You probably live in South Dakota or some shit like that. I'm just talking shit. Anyways, man, I just wanted to enlighten, because believe it or not, there's tons of people. I'd say that unless people watch the news, they're probably completely unaware that this is even going to go in effect in Florida tomorrow. But if you're not tapped in, you wouldn't know. But I guarantee people are going to wake up, and things are going to get very interesting tomorrow, because there's too many NRA supporters that live here in this state. So I'm positive business is going to pick up tomorrow. That's what I'm saying. People are going to start getting crazy tomorrow. I guarantee it. But yeah, I won't waste any more of your time, guys. I just wanted to enlighten you, bring that to the table, so to speak, in case you may not have been aware of that. And especially if you live in the state of Florida, this is a right that you have available to you starting tomorrow. So if you feel like getting up and just being strapped up and just walking down the block, you can do that. But if you do so choose to do that, just make sure that you use common sense, not only for yourself, but for your neighbors and for your fellow citizens. That's my only request. All right, before I go, Shonda says she used to go weekly, but I was in a bad car accident last year that fractured my dominant wrist. Damn. Then I just got a surgery a few months ago, so I had to limit my visit. You're in Pennsylvania. Okay. Well, that's no good, Shonda. I'm sorry to hear that, but Godspeed in your recovery, and I'm sure you'll be back out there shooting the shit out of the targets in no time. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, y'all. It's been a pleasure. As always, like the video and subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow. This is your man, Thatch the Great. I'll holla. Stay safe, but stay dangerous. Peace.